Marks the first time a sitting president does not accept his party's nomination for re-election since Lyndon B. Johnson in 1968. WIFR news reporter Anthony Ferretti talks with local lawmakers from both parties about where our democracy goes from here.
Many lawmakers on the Democratic side are in disbelief that President Joe Biden won't seek re-election less than 4 months before the general election. But a Republican lawmaker says it was not a matter of if, but when.
We all knew it was coming, we just didn't know when.
It's an unprecedented thing that our democracy has to deal with.
Just 8 days after former President Donald Trump survives an assassination attempt at a rally in Pennsylvania, President Joe Biden shakes up the 2024 campaign by ending his re-election bid.
He had a great presidency, the greatest of my lifetime for working families and for progressives.
He's not suitable to continue to be president. I'm very concerned as to who's actually running the country.
Winnebago County Democratic Party Chairman Charles Lasconis says he knew this was a possibility but never thought this day would come. He says whoever accepts the Democratic nomination at next month's DNC in Chicago will carry on Biden's decades-long legacy.
I think this is going to energize a new, younger, more progressive base. We have to make sure we get people out to vote. And I think if we get our people out to vote, I think there's no stopping us.
Meanwhile, State Representative John Cabello, who's been a supporter of the Trump campaign since 2016, says this won't shake the Republican Party.
What I saw after the assassination attempt is a different guy. I think he's much more humble. I've seen emotion in his face, things that he's never shown before.
Maybe this is what our political system needs, is for people to get in a room and figure out who the right person is.
In response to Sunday's news, Republican State Representative Joe Sosnowski says if Kamala Harris is elected, Biden's decision to withdraw will be unimportant to the choice voters face in November.
Thank you, Anthony. And Democratic State Senator Steve Staldeman says Biden's history of service to our country is unprecedented, and his decision today to step aside is a mark of a true leader. And the